I love to talk, film, discuss, critique.
Hello, what up? What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter here on a Wednesday afternoon with my brothers, The Missing Link and Stu Pock from Dr. Doom's Fan Club to discuss what I'm going to call a fucking banger. First time watch for me. This was Link's pick, Eden Lake. Brutal ass movie, man. So this was, before we get into it, go around, we'll give us all of our thoughts and opinions on this flick. But looking at this, I'd always heard brutal. That's like the key word when you hear about this, brutal and bleak. So I figured it was going to have a bleak ass ending, and we'll definitely get there. It has that in spades, but it fits perfectly in. It's really cool. All the different influences on this. It's part of like the Hicksploitation, part of that subgenre.
Absolutely.
Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, Texas Chainsaw, all that. Whereas there's some folk horror kind of mixed in with that. And then, like, I looked into it, and at the time in England, there was this big thing going on with the media called Broken Britain, where it was all about, like, the youth, like, kind of this, the denigration of the rural areas in Britain. And that's really what this is playing with. Got Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, I definitely felt that watching it. Like, I was missing out on some. I had to go do my research after the fact, but you definitely feel that, like, cultural backdrop in a sense. A little bit of class warfare going on.
Right. Or what is it? The city mouse versus the rural mouse. There's plenty of that with a little bit of a horror twist.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Riley is the woman that plays Jenny.
I feel like I've seen her in other shit, but I could not ever peg. Maybe she was in like
Peaky Blinders. Isn't she in Peaky Blinders?
She's
that
in
might
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Okay, I haven't seen
Yellowstone, and then just looking at, I don't know if she was in it. I assume she was, but Sherlock Holmes from 2009, so the year after this.
The movie. Okay. That's definitely probably what I seen her in.
But super badass, man. Great pick. Like I fucking loved it. Too good, my brother. What up? Kenneth Bird, Kaka, appreciate you. Yeah, it turns out Dylan just did this like last week, is what Robbie was just telling me. I didn't see that he did it. So as Link, as you were saying, great minds think alike. But my experience with it, real quick, before I send it to you, Link, it sucks you in right off the bat. I put it on late, like after the basketball game last night. I'm fucking tired. I'm like, I hope I can make it through this. Instantly woke me up, instantly sucks me in. It's got like the twist on the happy campers where they're going off and terrible things are about to happen to them, but it doesn't feel as generic as a lot of movies that start out that way feel. It's not teens or these adults, and just the way it's directed by James Watkins, who did the Speak No Evil remake, which we covered, that came out like last year, the year before. And seeing that, it's like, it makes perfect sense why they picked him to do that remake. Stu, I don't know if you've seen Speak No Evil, but the situation there is where you've got these two couples together, one couple staying at another couple's house. And it's the same thing where it's like things are slowly escalating. It's like, okay, I can't read these other people. What are they capable of? Like, how much worse is this going to get by the end of it? And that's what I'm thinking. You just don't really know.
That's the one with Joel Edgerton, right?
It's McAvoy.
McAvoy. Professor X and Magneto both worked this.
That's right.
That's kind of cool.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point. But I loved it, man. Link, what's your history? Why'd you pick it? And how was the rewatch for you, brother?
I've seen this movie a few times. I didn't see it when it first came out. It was like after it was around 2011, 2012 when I found out about it. I just seen Fassbender in First Class, and I was like, oh, this dude's legit. He had just been in Haywire shortly after that. So he had like a little buzz about him. So I was like trying to see his earlier works. He actually played, there's one we might have to cover. I don't remember being too good, but he played like this Nazi vampire in a movie with Henry Cavill and the dude from Prison Break, like the older brother.
Really?
Yeah.
Nazi vampire. You've sold me. You've sold me.
But these were like the earlier movies I had that were around after like first class that I'd seen him in. But yeah, I just remember this one just feeling just so bro, like nobody wins in this situation. Like it's just so, like you said, it's bleak, very bleak. And then it's like it's like I said, no one wins, and there's really like no bad guy. Besides, we'll get to that, but I don't even think the portrayed bad guys are necessarily. It's a trickle effect, you know.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's super debatable. I love like what you're saying, but yeah, exactly. Like there's nuance to it. How much blame is placed on each individual person, including the antagonist by the end, which I think maybe the most interesting part about it. Like some of her actions, spoiler alert, when she ends up killing some of these kids, how justified is it? That's all debatable. The culpability of the younger kids, because there's basically one fucking psychopath that's leading the charge, with different levels of culpability spread out through the rest of the teens, which is it's just endlessly interesting. For as simple and like familiar as it is. I might be wrong. Is it Alpha Dogs? Is that there's one where there's like a bunch of teens and they have someone kidnapped, and it's the same kind of thing where it's like, well, shit, now we've got them kidnapped. Now we're in this, and where's it going to go from here? And there's a bunch of real life times where that's happened, where that's like a real, everything is so believable. Even you being somewhere where you've got this group of people or somebody
being somewhere unknown, and like just you like you said, he tried not to like test them because he doesn't know what they're capable of. But after to an extent, you're only going to take so much bullshit from any that's. So like you said, there's a lot of layers and nuance throughout this movie that it's like you're I mean, you are more so side on the side of the couple, but you are like by the end, you are kind of like looking at the gang in a different light.
Right. Absolutely. Hell yeah. I will get deeper into that. To me, you can draw parallels with everything, just like problems in the inner city, problems in Palestine, like just, you know what I mean? Like, you can go really deep with this, with just the environment that you're raised in, and then what you do coming out of that environment and where the blame goes. And it's like, I don't know. It's so complicated
and shit.
Yeah. Very, very good. Sal, my brother, good afternoon to you, my man. Two Gun, almost called you Tupac, says can't stick around, but this movie is brutal with a gut punch at the end. 4 out of 5. I appreciate you, Two Gun. But Stu, my brother, first time watch. What'd you think, dude?
First time watch, loved it. Yeah, it's loved the cast. Especially tough to watch Magneto struggle with barbed wire. You know what I mean? It was incredible, man. And I second what you said about, to me, the best things that stood out were what it said about themes on multiple levels, like toxic masculinity, like you said, nature versus nurture, all the I like films that make me go dive into the background and what they were trying to say and the bigger picture they were trying to paint after the fact. And this was one of the movies that certainly sent me in that direction. So finding out about hoodie horror and all the elements that were going on in Britain at the time. And there's like, you think back at the beginning of the movie, there's that little bit on the radio where it's kind of lingering, talking about Tony Blair and all, and all that, a better Britain. And so I just like how the kind of like the ghost of that is lingering all throughout the movie. And like some parts of it are trumped up, but yeah, I immediately saw with Jack McCall's performance why Link picked it, man. It's very timely with Sinners too, but just to see, man, what a force of nature he was in this. Pitch perfect every scene.
That was Brett, the main bad kid, was running.
I forgot that's who that was, man. You're right. The main psychopath in this one was the main bad guy in Sinners. I forgot about
Jack. I think he's doing something with. He's going to be in Odyssey with Nolan, and I think.
Oh, really?
That's his name.
Oh, hell yeah! So I hope he continues to elevate.
Absolutely.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it was.
What did you guys?
But it just.
No, go ahead, please.
It just. Yeah, no, it just doubles down. Like every time you think, I remember being about halfway through and remembering you guys talk about how bleak it was and wondering, like, when we were going to get there, and we certainly got there because it just. I love the way it shifts, but it doesn't. It never takes like huge leaps of logic. You know what I mean? And just like little things, like how most of the kids rejected being violent and taking it too far, but there was like one who,
you know,
that one dude who embraced it. Like he was there, like little elements, little details like that just made it feel so believable along the way. So yeah, I don't know. Fantastic first watch, man.
Hell yeah.
Great hidden gem for me. I had never really heard of this one.
It's a good point, because it's something I was going to ask you guys about, is the believability of the escalation. Like it does. There's never, you said it fucking perfectly. There's never this spot where it jumps. There are times where you question. I don't know. I was about to say you question. I always have a problem with, think about It, or like any Stephen King movie where you've got a group of bullies, or a million different movies where you've got the one lead bully and everyone just follows behind them, which is a thing. But it always, like Stephen King, it's always cranked to 10, and it's always a little bit less believable. In this one, they did a good job with like putting in he's framing these people, or blackmail, whatever you would call it, where he's videotaping them doing illegal shit to use against them, which kind of adds believability to the whole fucking thing. And it's just, even their brazenness, it's like, I've never seen kids act like that. I've seen kids be like little dicks, and it seems so extreme, but still believable at the same time. Because a lot of times I will be annoyed, like in Stephen King, when you've got the bully and he starts slicing up the kid's stomach. It's like, Jesus Christ, like what bully would ever do that?
A good juxtaposition would be like Chicago, Chirac. Those kids down there, those are teenagers, like young kids that are mowing each other down. So it's like, it's definitely like an environmental thing, and it is like, it's, if you don't become a part of your environment, then it's going to eat you up sometimes.
You be a victim. Like, exactly. Yeah. You show weakness like that, like the kid. And I think that the one kid is like a perfect representation of that. The one that's not involved in the gang at first.
Yep.
You see him getting bullied, and what choice does he have? You can't beat him. You got to join him. And I bet you could go back to all those kids, maybe other than the one psychopath. Because that's the way I look at it. Like he's got his environmental issues, the one lead kid.
Yeah.
But I don't think he could do those things and enjoy those things without also being a psychopath, if that's like the right term for it, whatever it would be.
No, yeah,
he's not a normal kid.
No, for sure.
It's like, it's one of the, I think like it's scary just because it's like real shit like this could happen. There's real people out here like this, that, the fact that he gets away, spoiler alert, kind of gets away scot clean at the end. Like the one main person who should receive karma just kind of off his shoulders. Everyone else that he implicated in is, kind of either dead or in a worse position, and he's just, it's gonna wake up tomorrow another day. And then he is a psycho, but it's just like, because they kind of spoke on it in the radio conversations. This kind of ties into parents not taking accountability, because when they first went to the diner, he's trying to tell them about the kids harassing. She's like, no, not my kids. And then it's like, even at the end, like the dad, of course, Brett's dad, you could say that some of the anger issues Brett has comes from his dad, but at the same time, his dad didn't want to take accountability, didn't want to call the police. Like, no, my kids, there's no way my kids could have pushed you this far that you killed one of them. Because what really stuck with me in the radio broadcast was they were talking about something about starting early, trying to get at kids early, and then like one of the final messages was the lady said something about what good will it do anyways? They just know we're gonna kind of pay for it. It's kind of like, why try? It's like that. They're kids. They're kids. That's what kids do.
Boys will be
not
boys.
Taking accountability. Yeah. Bullshit.
I like how dude had he was like nipping at the cocaine the whole time and like using that as fuel. But to me, like the realest part, like it was when things broke bad and the decision making that happened after that. You know what I mean? Like that's when it felt realist to me. It just like it felt like they were kids in over their head.
Right. Yeah. What did you guys think? Well, I don't know. To me, it's pretty obvious. I would just have stayed out of it from the get-go. I just would have fucking left. And I was sitting there telling me, what does that say about you? There's like, I'm even sitting there having this like ego debate with myself last night. Like, I would have never been like, I'm going to go over there and say something to these kids. Like, I would just been like, fuck that. We're getting the fuck out of here. There's 10 of them. They've got this dog. One just pulled his dick out. Like, once that kid pulls his junk out, it's taken to another level. It's like, okay, these kids aren't, you know what I mean? That's such a breaking of a norm that it's like, what else would these kids do? Like, how far
they
would
give
it go?
zero fucks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did want to
exactly.
say,
And
just,
it's
I
not,
just
I don't
looked
think
it up.
it's
1% of the population are psychopaths. So that means in the United States, there's
like 1 out of 100.
3.3 million psychopaths walking around. And I had read a long time ago that like almost all your serial killers, or probably all of them, are psychopaths. But not all psychopaths are going to be serial killers. It is basically that. If you are a psychopath and you are raised badly like this kid is, then your chances amplify and go through the roof of doing like really heinous shit like that. And think about how common that probably is. Like how many people that are just out there like that aren't also geniuses, or like really not geniuses, but really smart people that can become serial killers that can get away with it. How many of them are just like people that are raging that ended up in jail right in their teens? They ended up in jail and got locked away. Just filled with them.
That's what I think that some of the horror of that is, because it's like by the end of the movie, you're like, damn, that's some real shit. Like that could really happen. People get it's their environment is fucking them up, but it's like this whole system where everybody gets destroyed because I don't know. I really do think it comes back to like this accountability thing that sometimes parents don't want to take. It's just because it's half the time when you see like kids and like gang violence or something, and the parents they're acting very surprised as to how it could be their child. It's like, come on, bro, you weren't checking in at a certain point. You couldn't be too surprised that this happened. I mean, not the saying everyone that gets caught in that is, in that world, there are like bystanders, but I do think, these parents are in the like disbelief that it's like, because it's like, it's speaking on them, that it's a reflection of them, that it's like, if my child's a fucking psychopath, like I must be an even worse piece of shit, because I either when I didn't catch it, or I nurtured this, or made this happen, so it's a scary thing because it's so real.
Yeah, I do like the way we get it in the like in that last scene when we see like the relationship between the dad and like the older members of the family, and how it mirrors kind of homeboy and like his relationship with the
he bullied them,
like all the rest of the kids. Like
you could just see him growing up and becoming that. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, man. You can see that kid's like whole life. Like I love that the scene obviously at the end with the mirror, but like you see the picture of the girl like in the mirror. And he's going to end up marrying that girl. They're going to have kids together. Like it's going to be rinse and repeat. It was just like, I don't know. It was like, I love that. And then like the little bit at the beginning we got when they were, stopped for drinks and we saw them slapping the kids early around. Like every time we saw these parents or members of the townspeople, like they were just awful, violent. It was very like secular in that sense, and like I appreciated that. For better or for worse.
How many of the teens died? We got because she ganked one, and then
she runs over one and she stabs one in the neck. Is there any outside of that?
Billy or
Brett beat that one to death. Beat that one to death.
When he was on the phone, he was like, "Who you calling? Get off the phone!"
And
he just snapped on him.
Brett does. The one psycho kid.
Brett. Right. Sorry, I keep calling him Jack. Yeah, Brett.
No,
close enough. It works. For me.
That's his name.
There's
but I think.
No, please.
Because it's fucked up. Because she's already in a shit situation. But it's like those 3 deaths. He probably. Yeah, I mean, one was on her, but the other 2 he probably put on her as well. And it's like, I never noticed it before, but the kid that they were bullying, that tried to help them, that they ended up, bro, did you see how they did the tire thing? And did you see when she's like up on the ridge of the forest? You could see in the background, like burning.
That was wild.
Oh my God.
That was wild. That moment, I was like, damn, this is like another level. That was like another, like, I didn't think we could get like, much worse than that was crazy.
That was, let me read Sal's comment before I respond to that. Sal says, can you see a gentrification message? That community was going to be turned into a fancy senior retirement neighborhood and pushing out local residents. I did not, bro. I honestly missed that.
Because when they first came in, remember he was like, this used to be a local beach, and there's like a resort sign saying like it was like coming soon, and that's why the beach was gated now and stuff like that.
Well, that's part of what, like, kind of what we were touching on earlier with the real troubled youth or whatever it was, Broken Britain stuff going on, was kind of the people that were out, the rural areas in the UK were feeling forgotten by the politicians and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely a part of it. But I wanted to ask you guys I was going to ask you about Steve and where you is the main character, or not main character, Michael Fassbender's character. There's obviously this toxic masculinity, but like theme going on. But do you guys think he ever did anything? Not obviously to deserve what happened to him. That's ridiculous. But like, did he really do anything wrong ever? Is it wrong to go over there and say something to them in the first place? Like, is there anything that he did that was like?
He walked up in the house when
that
straight up. That was wild. Like
B&E, bro.
That's
and then
great.
and then he had to hop out the window and shit. Like that was crazy.
When they pulled up to the diner, remember he saw him on the bikes and was trying to like chase him down and shit. Like that could be seen as antagonizing them, you know? Because it's like, they were doing some teen shit, but it's like that move right there could probably set the teens off. Like, oh, you tried to fuck with us earlier, now we're gonna fuck with you again. Like, had he just let them drive off, they might, you know. But was he wrong initially? Like, no. If someone's disrespecting, my partner, woman, whoever, you know, that I love, like, I'm gonna speak up about it. If they're being blatantly disrespectful, he was right in speaking up about it. You know, you don't want to just puss out. Like, definitely say something. You don't want to be like, come over there super aggressive, like, yo, cut the shit out, or you know. But
it depends on the level. Sorry, it depends on to me, it depends on the level of threat. Like the one instance that I'm sure this has happened many times in my life, but like the one instance that I'm thinking of right now, a few months ago, I'm at the park near my house, and it's me and my wife, my 2-year-old, and my brother-in-law. And there's these youngsters off in the distance, like doing donuts in the parking lot, music blaring, just like, you know, being an issue, but not fucking with us. And I'm watching my brother-in-law and being like, just shut the fuck up, please, dude. You know what I mean? Because I know that I'm not going to draw any ungiven. I don't want to get into anything when I have my kid with me, which is a totally different element of the whole thing.
I feel you.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like, there's some people that would. But what it comes down to is an ego thing. Now, Sale says that this is interesting. Sale says it felt like the wife was pushing him a bit to man up and stand up to the kids. See,
I agree.
With her words,
that look.
Exactly. Her words were no, don't do it, leave it alone. But then she was also kind of giving a look and kind of remaining silent at certain times, like she was going to let him do it. Like you know what I mean? But everything was so gradual.
No, but there was a line in the first night they got there and they're in the bed and breakfast. They're like lying down together, and she straight up asked him, "Are you a man or a mouse?" So like I feel like she planted that seed in his head. You know, and he's about to propose on this trip. Like,
so he wants
to definitely like pass that test for her.
Great call out. I missed that too. I only had a chance to watch this once, but this is one of them that I've wrapped it up, and it was just so locked in my memory, like step by step, the levels that it went. So good. Back to what you were saying, Link, about when he's chasing those kids down with his car. Like the event that preceded that was them slashing his tires. And not that we have to debate whether he should have slashed him down, but what I appreciate is the levels to it. It's like, well, shit, okay, slash my tires. Now can I chase these kids down on their bikes? Maybe. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's why he's the perfect guy for the Speak No Evil remake, Stu, because it's the same thing. It's just like, well, shit. Now is this
everything
enough to leave and get the fuck out of here? Like, until you've went too far. Really fucking good. Here's the other thing I wanted to ask you guys about is when it comes to Jenny, we kind of touched on it. First of all, when did the Descent come out? Was that the year later?
05.
05. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So do you guys getting big time Descent vibes? First of all, with her look.
With her, yes.
She's covered, you know, in the Descent, she's covered in blood and mud, and this she's covered in mud and fucking garbage stuff. And then also with the surprise, oh, there's someone behind me. I have a sharp object. Spoiler alert, tiny for the Descent. And then she stabs him in the neck. And it's someone that she would not have done that to.
Even the character arc, like she starts out timid, you know, kind of, you know, she's looking to Fassbender the whole fucking movie, and then by the end, she's the one who's doing the saving, kind of taking over. And
so
I
can
definitely see.
Great final.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Predator. Yeah. That's a good one.
Definitely. Yeah. And like Deliverance, also Deliverance.
Alan Howard.
Yes, it's the hair, bro.
Yeah.
It's like the hair in the eyes. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
But
good points,
Deliverance,
though.
there was like
Appreciate that.
definitely echoes of like all sorts of movies throughout this one. I feel like
Mhm.
any type of like trapped in a cult or a neighborhood or a town or something where everybody is basically against you and you're
Right.
fighting for your fucking life to get out of there.
Yo,
It's
now
got
it
that
sounds got me
folklore
thinking.
aspect where you kind of feel like maybe everybody else is in on something, which by the end,
Yeah.
to a degree, they almost
They
are.
are.
They're all
Yeah.
culpable by the end.
So it's got me thinking though. Like, so when he first like comes off the beach after the dog is barking at his lady, the Bryce Dallas
Mhm.
Howard clone, he's like looking at her, looking at the kids. He's looking back and forth. Do you guys think he was looking for her as like they say so, or do you think he was
Yeah.
like?
I'm
Do
sure.
you think
I
he
feel
was
like he was
checking to
like,
see if she wanted him
yeah,
to
he
say
was
something?
kind of, yeah. I think he was trying to more or less like gauge the situation though and be
Definitely.
like, am I gonna do this or yeah.
I
Okay,
think if
I
she
can
would
see
have
that.
pushed him to be like, "Fuck that, let's go. We can go to this other spot." Because think about it. That's what we're all doing. Especially like I've been with my wife now for 11 years. I might not be so quick to be like, "Step back, baby. I've got this." And use my bravado. I'd be like, "Fuck that, baby. Let's get the fuck out of here. You've known me for 11 years. You've never seen me kick anyone's ass. Like, let's get the fuck out of here." But if it was week one, or if I mean, they're in a newer relationship, they're not married yet. Like you said,
You
he's
really
about
trying
to
to, yeah.
propose, and you're built like Michael Fassbender. Like you'd be like, "All right, I've got this, young man. Put that penis away. We've got to talk."
You know what was funny? Because I was thinking when he was on the beach, I was like, yeah, Fassbender's pretty cut, you know. And then when they get to the diner, she's like, "Oh, you're not scared of some kids, are you? A buff lad like you or something?" He's kind of like, "Well, I'm not that buff." His reaction was like, "I stay fit, but I'm not.
He's
John
skinny
Claude."
buff. He's scrawny
Yeah.
buff. He is very small, but but definitely buff.
Did the girl say they should go to a different part of the beach or let's get out of
No,
here?
well, no, I think she did. She did say at first, like one of the first things, like we can go, and his response was, "I'm not going to get bullied by these kids."
By
I
the
think
kids.
that's before he goes out into the water or whatever. But like the point is, like it's all there. Like
Yeah.
you can read it all these different ways. She's saying stuff, but her body language is saying something different. I'm really like surprised that James Watkins, the director, he did this. He did The Woman in Black, which I think is kind of more of a ghost story.
Is that with Daniel Radcliffe?
Yes, with Daniel
Oh
Radcliffe.
shit! Oh,
Now
wow.
you've seen that. To me, that seems. And then he did the Speak No Evil remake, and that's about it. Which to me is super surprising because A, he wrote this, and B, he directed it, and I think he did an incredible job at both. Like I'm really surprised he hasn't done a lot more because the direction
Yeah.
itself is like really, really top notch. I felt.
No, yeah. There's it's everything is subtle, and he creates like disturbing, uncomfortable atmosphere, should I say? Even very uncomfortable. You're always kind of like, all right, man, this is getting like, and it makes you feel a little awkward because there's many situations where you're like, okay, I think it's time. If I was there, I'd be like, let's slowly walk away. This is weird.
I know.
No, yeah. I have to go back and rewatch Women in Black because I don't remember being it's hit or miss with Daniel Radcliffe with me. And forever same as Harry Potter, but I don't remember being too impressed with that one. But when I saw it, I wasn't really a horror fan, so I would probably appreciate it a little bit differently.
I'm pretty sure it's a ghost kind of story too. It has a 66% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.4 on IMDb, 83% Google user rating. So yeah, pretty decent. But let's touch on. I mean, yeah, I guess we should probably at one point mention the torture scene because this is something I was going to say at the beginning. Obviously, this is coming out of the torture porn era, or kind of like maybe stuck right in the middle of it.
Yep.
And we touched on it earlier. Also, it really reminds me of Last House on the Left, where you've got the group of youngsters out there in the woods torturing someone. And it was just so it was so bleak, but also like the way it was written was really good too, with all the framing going on. And that's when you really started to get the group dynamic of the teens. And you could see like they weren't all about it and where they were going to push it. But Stu, what did you think of that? Just the torture, just the brutality of the whole movie.
No, I thought it was, it's incredible how they, it's like a collective, shared rite of passage between these kids. But I love, like I said earlier, I loved the reluctance of some kids, but his performance in that scene, Jack McCall's, was fucking phenomenal, man. Like that was like the one where I thought he really sung, because it just felt believable every step of the way. Even the girl, I think, who had been his accomplice at that point, was like starting to not feel good about things, and it really, it really drew a line in the sand for some of those kids. But my favorite part was when it came time for that black kid, and he was over there like kneeling down. He got up and pulled out his own. I love little detail of him pulling out his own knife. Yep. Like before, Jack was giving his knife to all these other kids. I thought that was such a great little like moment. But it felt, I thought it was very real in like the way that it was shot and, portrayed, because that's the way it is. I thought, sometimes it's so drummed up and gored up. It would, but I just loved the realness of it, and how some of these wounds ended up becoming fatal for our boy. But it was gruesome, man.
And
so
then believable. Sal got a good point. Says you're waiting for one of the kids to stand up to the lead bully, but you it's not going to happen. Exactly. Good call.
Well, yeah, to be honest, the most physically intimidating ones were Brett and the black kid. And it's like the black kid was like, it implied to me at least that that's like his right-hand man, Right. Because he was the one with him at the beginning bullying the Pakistani.
Yeah, that was gonna be my guess. I just steered clear. I just called him the kid.
And then like you said, when it's time to start cutting some shit up, every other kid had to have the knife forced in their hand, and he just kind of stands up, and he's the one who kind of inflicts the real damage. The other kid just kind of barely cut him. He's the one that kind of really gets him bleeding.
Even Brett's reaction is like, "Oh shit!" Like when he slices him up. Yeah.
So I think that did a good job at like showing you, like you were saying, the different levels of where these kids were at. Because not every kid, some kids were with it, but like mostly the chick kind of, she could have, I don't know, she was kind of a cunt,
she's a perfect example, because this is what I want to touch on next before we wrap this bad boy up. Is when she gets killed, there's the one that you obviously can't blame. The woman whose name I'm forgetting, the lead woman, Jenny. You can't blame her when she kills the young kid. That's the saddest moment, because he was the one that was least about the whole thing. You could tell he didn't want to be a part of any of it. He was just doing it out of fear. But then when she kills the other girl, she'd been a bitch from the jump. She'd been the one recording everything. She was totally game.
Antagonizing.
But you did see little shots of reluctance to her, which is important for this moment. But she's also like, she could have avoided killing her. And she punches it. And in my mind right there, like I'm thinking like, damn, this is good. Like just how much like nuance is in that scene right there. Because instantly I'm like, fuck that bitch, if I'm being honest. But then I had to think about it. And I'm like, damn. But it's like she could have avoided killing her. She is a kid.
Dude, the look on Homegirl's face, like that close up after when she's driving away after, was like one of the best shots of the movie for me. Like how she looks like almost satisfied. It's such a complex, satisfied, but also regretful in the same moment. It's such the way she's able to like pull off that emotional scale is crazy.
Hell yeah.
That scene did throw me off a little bit, just because she had just seemed so regretful and traumatized by the response she had to stabbing the kid in the neck, how she cradled him as he's bleeding. So it's kind of like for her to see her and aggressively, I mean, I can't really say what I would do in that, because that fight or flight is a different thing,
right?
She thought she was safe, and then she sees she's getting lured back in, or so she thinks. So at that point, the flight's kicked in again, she's fucking just adrenaline.
That girl was directly a bitch to her.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The other kid, I think because she's watching from the shadows, so she probably, we could assume that she picked up on the way the young kid felt or whatever. But that kid the girl was a straight up bitch from the jump.
Would you? Okay, I mean, she didn't kill them, but yes, she could have done something. But it's like, okay, she hit the gas. That implies a little attention. Instead of just like, it's too late, just let the car keep rolling type shit. She was like, oh no, here you go, bitch, KO. And so
Right.
it's an interesting
At the
thing.
same time, it's like at that point, it's like the whole crocodile morality thing. You guys know what I'm talking about, or people on the train tracks, and you got to choose who dies. At that point, she could have swerved and then put her life at further risk.
Yeah.
And I think she looks at it. She did a quick calculation, be like, "This girl's life isn't worth me risking my life."
Absolutely not.
You know,
Yeah,
really
I
cool,
feel
man. I thought it was so goddamn smart. Last thing, speaking of fucking smart, the end scene. Well, it just put it over the top for me. You really feel for a second. It's a lot. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, but much better, where Jessica Biel ends up getting away and she's in this trailer with these two fat women, and then they don't necessarily seem to be in on it, but they're way more reluctant to help her than it seemed prior to that. But the way that they film it, where she seems like in such a safe environment, and it slowly builds up. That's fucking Reese's van out there. So, oh no, there's some connection with these people to the teens. Then you see Brett's dad. Then she goes in the bathroom, and when the door opens, Brett's there with his dad. I'm like, this is brilliant. Like, to me, that's like just such good storytelling through visuals. Like, that's why I'm so surprised this guy
It was
hasn't done
amazing.
more.
Did you see those
So
bathroom
good.
windows too, bro? They were the thick ones. She wasn't busting out of those boys, bro. Like she was
incredible.
cornered.
And the way she put it together, like where she was, and then like just the growing din of noise, and it was fantastic. And like it makes you think too, like, damn, they were like, they're gonna put all these kids' deaths on her, like they just went crazy in the woods and killed all, you know what I mean? It's like the aftermath of it it's I don't know. And to me, like ending a movie with screams off camera, like good, nice, solid, effective screaming, that was some great screaming. Is always just so that
Like,
always works.
oh, the way that
If
they
it's well
show her
done,
death. Yeah.
But
So
it was crazy.
I did like the lead up to, because it's like everything's becoming like it's like a oh shit for like 2-3 minutes straight, because it's like you hear the dad react, that's such and such van out there, and then she gets up because the other dog barks at her.
Yeah,
and so
that's so good.
And then
instantly it's like danger. Oh shit, I'm not safe. I'm in a dangerous environment. Yeah, with the dog.
Because the dad's putting stuff together at the same time, because he's like, that's her van, and she gets up, and then she's like, I'd like to call the police, and he's like, what? No, we don't need to do that. And then he's like right beside her, and then so she's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and it's just like the slow anxiety inducing buildup, because it's like they both know, he already kind of knows, but he's just, and it wasn't until when Brett gets home when he finally it's like confirmed, and it's so scary, like the way he like took off his shirt, because it was like he was ready to
signifier.
Yes.
There's a second when she sees him that she's trying to get up, wants to call, and he kind of like holds her down for a second, like it doesn't let her get up, and I felt super claustrophobic. Like in that moment, it's like, oh shit, just let me out of this situation. Yeah, good point, Sal. Interesting that Jenny is a school teacher having trouble reaching these delinquent kids. That was definitely intentional too.
Great call. Yeah.
I feel like we done did this thing, man. This was like such a good movie that it took me way too long to see that. It's like so right up my alley with what I'm like into. Like it's because it's got not the gore necessarily, but it's got like the brutality of like a slasher movie or something like that. But it's a lot more intelligent and thought out and just better directed and better acted than a lot of what we'll get in your average slasher. So let's kick it off first, Mike.
I was gonna say real quick, it's crazy is that I did feel like the elements of like the torture porn era in this, but it's just like it had almost a reason for it. Like it wasn't too over the top, but it was an interesting dynamic. But
it wasn't just like Last House on the Left. It wasn't torture for torture's sake. It was this is the way to make everybody culpable and fall in line. And then I kept on thinking, like just like you said, like where are these kids going to be in the future? Where will this night stand in their minds in the future? They're going to have to bury it or go and like confess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is going to be like this super significant like weight that they'll carry for the rest of their life that will push them down such a darker path. Or there's enough of them that one of them is going to rat the other ones out. Maybe.
I mean, he the ones, he killed most of the ones who
that would.
stood up to him. And his right-hand man survived. The chick got ran over.
Right.
So it's like, I think he was in the clear. We just saw the birth of a future serial killer, to be honest.
Yeah,
so he was going to go on.
Probably.
But this one, yeah, it's definitely a standout from the 2000s, you know, especially when it was kind of flash, no substance. There's a reason for the brutality. It is pretty damn gory, and it's just great acting. It's very nuanced. It's hard to do with a horror film. So I'll give this one. Can't really think of any reason anything wrong with it. I can get why it's not everyone's cup of tea. So I'll give it a 4.75. I do like the layers. And I like when there's that's why I love 28 Days Later so much, because they. I love zombie movies that are just zombie movies, but they went out of their way to have things make sense for the most part. Just like in this movie. Yeah, believable.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. Where you at it, Stu, out of 5?
I'm gonna echo Link's, man. I can't think of anything wrong with it. The only reason I'm giving it a 4.75 is because I'm not dying to rewatch it, because it is brutal, man. You know what I mean? Like it's a draining movie in a lot of ways. And it's crazy because I started it last night and passed out, and my wife finished it, and I finished it this morning, and it was great. The conversation, she was like, "You have to call me at work after you finish it. We have to talk about it."
I love that.
So she was like, it was brutal not seeing homegirl get any justice. So
yes.
It was fantastic, dude. It's it's the best works of art stay with you for whatever reason, and this is definitely one of those. So yeah, shout out to Link for putting it on my radar. Immediately when I saw Fassbender, I'm like, Fassbender and Homegirl are in this, and I've never heard of it. So but the star of the show was Jack McCall. So hell yeah. Great one.
I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna bump it up just to meet you guys, because it's my exact thought. Link was what you said. I can't think of anything I don't like about the movie. I was gonna give it a 4.5, but fuck it, I want to hang out with you guys at 4.75. I don't know why I wouldn't want to give it a 5. I don't know why. There's nothing. In my opinion, I would like to read some negative reviews on it. Some people probably don't appreciate the bleak ending, but to me, that's what if they've remade this movie, as it's pretty much. There's no need to remake it because it's in English and everything. But if they did like an American remake of this, she'd survive at the end and she's escape or some shit. It wouldn't have stuck.
It wouldn't sit with you. Yeah, exactly. Yes. It wouldn't stick with you. It'd just be like another happy ending to a degree.
Sales right there. Gonna say 4.5, but fuck it. We'll all hang out at 4.75.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. So next week, man, I'm excited for this. I was trying to think. I was like, all right, we've done a couple kind of newer movies recently. Let's go back to the 80s. I'm like, this is a really good summer choice that you made here, Link, as we enter June coming up. And I was like, we haven't done any Stephen King in a while. And Stu, I don't know if you'll make it next week, but I hope you can, because I know you've said you like Cujo.
Yeah,
I'm excited to do it. I have not seen this movie since I was
dog was a Saint Bernard. So
no shit.
Yeah.
I was terrified of this movie when I was a kid. Terrified. I own it. I have not seen it. I probably haven't seen it in 20, 25 years. I don't know if I've ever read this book either.
Was Beethoven a Saint Bernard?
Yes, right?
Yeah. Man, it's like, it's something about the 80s and the 90s where certain animals were just really relevant.
They had their moments.
There's like Doberman Pinscher in the 90s. Snoop Dogg made him famous. You're never going to see a Doberman walking around. They're so fucking rare now. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Like, what is the tough, scary dog? It's constantly evolving. But hey, man, super stoked about it. Cujo next Wednesday, 12:30 Central Time. And you got anything going on this week, Link?
No, I will be back here next Wednesday.
We just did Ninja Scrolls over on PCP Movie Night. You guys go check that out. If you're into some anime, Link and I both talked that over there. And what about you, Big Stu? What you got coming up?
Ink and Insights tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on the Dutter Dooms Fan Club YouTube channel. Other than that, I'll be back here next week with you fellas for Cujo. Can't wait. Great pick, dude.
Hell yeah. Great pick, Link. Thank you, Sal, for being in here and joining the conversation with us. Two Gun, Kenneth Bird, you guys are the shit. We'll see you on Wednesday for Cujo.